What's going on YouTube, and welcome to Demasi's Garage. My name's Nino, and today we're going to be doing an overview and review on my 2008 Ford Mustang GT California Special. Alrighty guys, so here we have my 2008 Ford Mustang GT California Special. Starting off in the front, we have this California Special front bumper, which I think really brightens up the front end, gives it more of an aggressive look. Paired with the fog lights and headlights, it's more of like a 60s style look, a retro style, which I personally like a lot. On the hood we got this hood scoop, non-functional unfortunately, as well as my black racing stripes, which I believe also came with the California Special. I know the hood scoop did for sure, the racing stripes I believe they did. Moving on to the side here, we have my 19-inch gloss black rims paired with slotted and drilled Detroit axle rotors. We also have our GTCS decal / badge, as well as the side scoops over here, which I think really adds to the aggressiveness of the car. If you look at it from this angle, get a few different angles. I think it adds character to it on the side and stuff. And once again, it's non-functional, but it does add to the aesthetics. We also have MMD's quarter window side louvers. This was the only modification that was done to the car when I bought it. Everything else was bone stock, and for the most part still is, aside from the slotted and drilled rotors as well as the 19-inch rims that I put on there. And I also put on MBRP's catback race version exhausts, which we'll see when I move to the back here. So we have the 4-inch exhaust tips paired with the California Special rear bumper, which features a diffuser that I think also adds to the aggressive feel of the car. Other than that, you have the stock taillights, stock spoiler stripes. We do have the California Special GT badge in the back here rather than just the GT. Other sides, same thing. The GTCS badge and stripe. So moving on to the interior, for the most part it is just the typical 05 to 09 GT interior, aside from the two-tone leather interior, which is native to the California Special. So we got our gray and black seats, leather seats, as well as the gray and black door panels, which I think really adds to the character of the car. But other than that, it really is just the basic GT Premium interior. As you can see, as I'm going around the car, everything is bone stock, as I've mentioned earlier. The only modifications I've done is the rims, rotors, and exhaust. But I have a lot in store for this car. I got my next modifications I'm planning is going to be the JLT series cold air intake with the tune, as well as a Hurst Competition Plus short throw shifter. But yeah, my plans are to go full bolt-on on this car and see what happens from there. Maybe once this car isn't my daily driver anymore, maybe I'll plan on boosting it, but I don't plan on boosting it in the near future, as it is my daily driver. But I do plan on keeping this car forever and never selling it, so I do foresee boost in the future, but definitely not the near future. Alright guys, so that was the overview of my 2008 Ford Mustang GT California Special. So now let's get into the pros and cons of this vehicle and any common issues and any issues that I faced personally. So I faced about 3 issues with this car so far. I've owned it for roughly 5 months now, coming up on 5 months now. The first issue that I had was the intake manifold runner control arms with this car. So basically in this intake manifold, there are these runner control arms which act similar to the butterfly valves in a throttle body, where they'll restrict airflow until about 3,000 RPM, which they'll then open up and allow full airflow. And I was driving one day, and I was getting on the car a little bit, and then I randomly got a check engine light, so I thought I broke something. So I ended up reading the code, and it was saying that these valves were stuck open. So we replaced the actuator, we put a new one in there, and that one ended up being faulty, so we had to put another one in there. That's the one that's in there right now, and it seemed to have fixed the issue. About a month ago, I did get a check engine light for the same thing, but I think it might just be a sensor going out, or maybe the actuator itself might be kind of faulty, because it is not it's not a Ford genuine part because they stopped making these parts, so it is like an aftermarket, probably from China part. But the check engine light went away on its own within a week, so I think something might just be going out, or a sensor or something like that. Like, I think the actual part is working, doing a job, but within the intake manifold itself, I will be replacing with a Ford Performance Racing intake manifold, which gets rid of those valves entirely. So I mean, I will eventually delete that problem completely, but it is working right now, so it's not giving me any issues anymore. The issue after that I had, which is very common to these cars, is the radiator fan. So I noticed it when I would be idling at a stoplight, stop sign, or just idling in general. Within a minute or so, my car would drop down to about 500 RPMs and it would shake like it was gonna stall. But it would shoot back up to about 750 or so, which is where I normally idle. So I ended up popping the hood to see what was going on, and it would only do it when the radiator fan would kick on. I noticed the radiator fan sounded kind of loud, so I did some research on it and noticed that there's a low speed and a high speed setting because it is an electric fan. The low speed is supposed to be on with the AC at all times, and whenever the AC is on, it's supposed to be on, and the high speed will kick on if need be to you know, cool the engine down more if it's idling and it's getting hot. So the problem that I was having is that my low speed just didn't work at all. My high speed would be kicking on, cycling on and off constantly to compensate for the low speed not working. So that's what would cause my RPMs to drop. That's what would cause the car to shake. So to solve that, I ended up putting in a new radiator fan with a new resistor, and it worked for a little bit, but it ended up doing it again. So basically the root cause of this is that the original fan that's in there will get older over time, obviously, and it will start to draw more voltage to the fan, which will blow the resistor. And I've seen cases online where it'll travel back to the fuse block and it'll burn the fuses, or rather where the relays go for the low speed and high speed of the fan. So I checked my connector from my fan to my ECU, and that was fine. And then I ended up checking the fuse block and noticed that it was burned, but it wasn't like melted completely like I've seen people online. It was a little burned, but me and my dad checked and there was ground, there was power, so we noticed it was getting power, so we cleaned up the connectors a bit and plugged everything back in. It worked for a little bit, and then I drove it around for a couple hours and started doing it again. So I ended up cleaning, I seen 3 grounds in there that were pretty heavily corroded, so I ended up cleaning those. I got those to the point where, you know, it's much better contact now. And my dad seen this thing online where if you disconnect the battery, take off the terminals, and clamp the terminals together for about 5 minutes, supposedly it resets the ECU and it'll cause the computer to relearn everything on the car. So we tried that. I mean, thank God I haven't had any problems with that since, because, you know, I was getting pretty nervous with that. Like, I would see people that would have to wire in a manual switch for their low speed fan, and they would put it in over here next to their steering wheel, which I did not want to do. You know, I was getting sick of that problem entirely. I'm not, you know, it was an electrical issue. I don't know much about electrical within cars, or electrical in general, to be honest. It wasn't as simple as just changing a part out or anything like that. So that part was, that problem was a little bit scary for me at times, but luckily, thank God, it's fixed now. The only other problem I'm having with it right now is that it's not even a new problem. It's just something that, like, I've just recently diagnosed, is that I'm getting a small vacuum leak, because I've noticed in the mornings when it's a little bit cool out, I'll put it in first gear, I'll start driving, and the car will buck forward. And half the time I'm not even giving it gas, and it's just bucking forward. I'll shift into second or third, and then the first like inch or two of my gas pedal is just dead, just no response, it does nothing. So that problem will only happen in the mornings, or like if it's cool out and the engine's cold. But as the engine warms up and gets up to operating temperatures, the problem goes away. So I was researching it, and it was all pointing towards a vacuum leak, and which makes sense. Like, if it is a vacuum leak that's in the rubber, like a rubber hose or any type of rubber in there, as it's cold, you know, the rubber shrinks, but as everything gets warm in there, the rubber expands and the hole basically closes itself. I mean, I'm sure it's still a minor leak, but, you know, it's definitely more drivable when it's warm than when it's cool in the morning. So my dad just recently bought a smoke machine, like fog machine type thing, where I could put the smoke into the vacuum lines, and if there's a hole in the vacuum line, for example, the smoke will come through there. I could replace that line and fix the issue. So I'm hoping that it's just a vacuum line and not like the intake manifold or anything like that. The intake manifold will be way more expensive to replace. I hope it's just something small that we can fix. Other than that, it's just been regular maintenance with the cars, like my struts and shocks, I'm gonna have to change soon. My shocks are starting to squeak a bit, but that's just regular maintenance with any car. It's nothing specific to this car. Other than that, I've had no other problems, really. No major problems, thank God. The car runs good, feels good. I like it a lot. It is a manual, my first manual, so I like this car a lot. Yeah, I mean, other than that, guys, just let me know in the comments down below what you thought. Let me know what you want to see next. I have some POV drives planned if you guys are interested in that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.